J Street's activity, supposedly as a pro-Israel organization, is somewhat of a puzzle. Why they would oppose sanctions against Iran if they're pro-Israel is beyond me.
It's impossible to know what J Street's position on Iran is. I actually offered to contribute money to J Street if they would answer a series of specific questions about their positions on Iran, and I couldn't get an answer to any of those questions.
Why they would refuse to support Israel's operation into Gaza after Israel was pummeled by rockets and missiles from Gaza for years. Again, a question I cannot answer. Why they would oppose a U.S. veto in the United Nations of a resolution that would attack Israel? Again, I don't understand why this organization calls itself pro-Israel. So I went looking at whatever public documents there were. Some of the names that showed up was a woman from New York named Genevieve Lynch. She's on the board of directors of the National Iranian American Council, which has been identified as a potential foreign agent for the government of Iran.
U.S. Federal Election Commission records show that there are dozens of Arab and Muslim Americans, some with ties to anti-Israel groups, who contribute to J Street's Political Action Committee.
We work with the American Task Force for Palestine, the Muslim Public Affairs Committee, a whole range of groups that are Arab, Palestinian, and Muslim that all support peace.
Israel is not a democracy. Israel is a theocracy and is an apartheid state against every fiber of the modern world.
And want nothing more for their people than I want for my people, which is a secure future for their children and grandchildren.
The IRS released, perhaps by accident, J Street's tax forms, and there was $250,000 of donations from Mr. Soros.
George Soros is a billionaire investment manager who is a major supporter of far-left political causes and organizations. He has spoken out against Israel and provides large donations to anti-Israel organizations.
It turns out that George Soros was the main donor behind the organization, and Jeremy Ben-Ami lied about that for several years.
%50 of their budget came from outside the United States, a fact that they hid and lied about until it was made public some years later.
$800,000 from a woman in Hong Kong. I have no clue why this woman, a Philippine woman who lives in Hong Kong near the racetrack, was giving J Street a third of their budget 2 years ago. Something is amiss here.
Those who attack us as being anti-Israel, those who question whether or not what we are doing is in the best interest of the Jewish people, are so fundamentally mistaken, because the work that we're doing is the ultimate act of Zionism.
People aren't used to having to deal with this kind of subversion. You have to be very bold, and you have to be very educated, and you have to be very willing to say, you know what, you're not telling me the truth.